This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Warrenville Public Works and Infrastructure Committee of the Whole. It is Monday, August 12th, 2024. This Committee of the Whole meeting will be conducted in the traditional in-person format. Public comment will only be available in person during the meeting. The remote meeting access is for viewing purposes only. Those viewing the meeting remotely will not be able to provide public comment via the remote meeting access. Can we have a roll call, please? Clerk?
Mayor Brummel,
Here.
Alderman Lockett,
Here.
Alderman Ashour,
Here.
Alderman Berry,
Here.
Alderman Davalos,
Here.
Alderman Augustinovich,
Here.
Alderman Wilkie,
Here.
Alderman Widener is absent, Alderman Kruckenberg.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens' comments. If anyone would like to make a comment at this time, I don't see anyone, but if you would like to make a comment during on any item on the agenda, please let us know, and you can make a comment at that time. Official and staff comments. Mayor?
Thank you. Just a thank you to all those that organized and participated in National Night Out celebration. It was fun again, a big success, lots of vendors, lots of families there. So the police department did an admirable job yet again, and I expect another award this year because we get one virtually every year because of the great job they do. So thanks to everyone who came and everyone who participated and everyone who made it possible.
Alderman? No comments? Okay, staff, any comments? All right, Assistant City Administrator?
Just wanted to let everyone know that due to technical difficulties, the online GoToMeeting will not be displayed on the large monitor this evening. However, it will be visible to those viewing online from home.
Thank you. Deputy Clerk, any comment?
Yes, I just wanted to let everyone know, anyone who's interested in running for local office for the April 1st election, the election packets, candidate packets will be available August 20th. That's the first day of circulation. So they'll be available downstairs in the Finance Department.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, on to the business of the meeting. Number one, discussion of the FY 2025 water and sewer rates error. This is going to be presented by Director Dahlstrand.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The first item tonight is us admitting to an error that we made with the May 1 water and sewer rates. Make absolutely no excuses for it. There was too many moving parts and we missed one. We should not have missed it, but we did. Hopefully, when we get our new system in place, then we'll be able to avoid these types of manual updates. As a result of that manual updates, the bills that went out in June and July went out at the old water and sewer rates and not the new rates that were effective May 1. Because of all of the upset it caused everyone when we converted to monthly billing, I'm recommending at this point that we do not go back and retroactively bill anyone for those 2 months, that we simply move forward with the new rates, which have already been put in place with the bills that went out here in August. So we'd like to have the city council ultimately authorize us not to go back and retroactively bill those accounts.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion. Alderman Lockett.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend the city council approve the waiver of all water and sewer revenue not billed at the proper May 1st, 2024 effective rates during the issuance of the June and July 2024 water and sewer utility bills, and that the recipients of the water and sewer bills not be billed retroactively for the incorrectly billed charges from June and July 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a motion by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Wilkie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Number 2, consideration of water valve assessment program contract. This would be Director Kukler.
Thank you and good evening. You may recall that a decision package was approved as part of the fiscal year 25 budget for a 4-year water valve assessment program. The total estimated cost for that program is $200,000. The contract that's included with the agenda backup materials is for $49,929, which will allow the vendor to open, close, and evaluate approximately a quarter of the city's valves and the water valves in the city's system. The area that they're going to be working in is generally west of Route 59, so Maple Hill, Fox Hollow, Summer Lakes, and down through the industrial park. Typically, this proactive assessment hasn't been done over the years, and I think that's probably mainly due to the fact that our infrastructure was pretty young for a while, and the city didn't used to have enough resources, so it's probably just a matter of prioritizing where best to spend its time and money. We've reached a point where we really need to do this, and the staff will utilize results of this assessment to be able to determine what valve repairs are needed and what valve replacements are needed as well. And as soon as we get those results, staff will start working on the repairs that it can do. Depending on the scope of the results, we may end up having to budget for more money next year to be able to have a contractor come in and assist us with that. But with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Alderman Lockett?
Just out of curiosity, because I have no idea, but the valves, I'm imagining, are they large valves? And what do they necessarily do, and kind of what are they looking for?
So they'll count the number of turns it takes to close the valve and open it back up. I mean, there's been situations in the past, not frequently, but situations, I think, on Alderman Davlos's neighborhood where she was complaining of poor water quality. Staff went out there and found that there was a valve that was closed, so it created a long dead end. So they'll count the number of turns it takes to open and close them. They'll be looking for any defects, are there missing bolts, any leaks in the valve, and things like that. And if they can't turn it, or it takes a lot of effort to turn it, then that might be something that needs to be replaced. And when there's a water main break, when a developer is making a connection to the water system, we go out and we shut down the valves. We try to have as limited a shutdown as possible, so we pick the valves that are closest to that location and do it. If those valves don't work, we've got to expand that. More people are impacted, so this will help in the future minimize impacts to people when we have water main breaks and things like that too.
Okay. And then, are we concerned that it's so close to what we budgeted that it might be over budget next year, considering if it's 25% each time, or?
I don't think so. I mean, it's possible, like, I'd say more like years 3 or 4 if costs go up, but Zach Jardine he's worked with his vendor before when he was in Oswego. He's familiar with them. I think they initially gave him the estimate and the budget number for the decision package of 4 years. It depends. I mean, if our GIS is accurate and has all the valves exactly counted perfectly, then I have a lot of confidence in it. If we find some valves that weren't included in there somehow, or maybe there's valves that are in the GIS that aren't. I mean, it might be a little less, but I think it's pretty accurate.
Okay, and then how often do you think we'd have to do this? After we do it this time and we get everything located?
It's something we should be doing ongoing. It might be this, because it hasn't been done, that Zach wanted to bring in a vendor to be able to do it because they can handle that higher volume of work. It might be that staff is able to take that over at some point if we take care of the defects that are in the valves and replacements. Maybe it's not doing a quarter of them every year, maybe it's doing something less than that every year, but regularly exercising them. We'll have to see. It depends on what we find, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Krokenberg?
So some of the contractor's work might be to locate some of the valves, is what I understand? Like, do we know pretty closely where they are?
They should be all located from, all the ones we know about, we've located with GPS. So they're in our GIS system. We'll give that data to the contractor. That is one of the services they provide too, where they could locate them for us for a fee and provide that information if we didn't have it, but they'll utilize our GIS data to help find those. We've encountered some, I remember there being one in like Thornwell and Edgebrook where staff was out, I don't remember what work they were doing out there, if it was repairing a water main break, they found a valve that was buried. And they didn't know about it, got buried years and years ago, and they were looking like, well, it seems like there should be a valve right here. And they, within a few feet, actually found it easily enough. But I would anticipate that contractors not gonna have to do a lot of locating. If that's necessary, our staff will go out and assist them to find the valves for them.
Thank you.
I do have a question. So it seems like you've divided up the city into certain areas, so next year you're do another area, is that it?
Yes, and I don't know, I asked Zach for a map for this, because, for this area, so we could show you what we're working on this year. I don't know how they've got it divided up exactly in the future years, but it'll be geographically, so it'll be an area, so the vendor can do it more efficiently than hopping around town.
Okay. And so this $49,000 is just for checking the valves, but anything that needs to be done after that would be an additional cost?
Correct, and we more than likely wouldn't be using this vendor to do it. They're just exercising the valves and evaluating them, providing us with the results, and then, again, our staff is capable of doing a lot of repairs.
Okay.
And a lot of types of repairs, but depending on the volume of them and the scope of them, we may have to contract out at some point. But I envision that would be something we'd budget for next year, if it's too much.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I would like to have a motion, please. Alderman Davalos?
Yes, I'd like to recommend the City Council pass a resolution approving an agreement with M.E. Simpson for the Water Distribution System Valve Assessment Program.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Davalos and a second by Alderman Kruckenberg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Number 3, consideration of Cerny Park Design Contract Amendment. Again, Director Kukler.
Thank you. As part of the city's OSLAD grant that it has for the Phase 1 improvements at Cerny Park, we've got a contract with Hitchcock Design Group. There's quarterly reporting that's required by the IDNR for that grant. It's a grant that the city isn't generally worked with before, so we're not real familiar with that. Hitchcock inadvertently left that task out of their proposal, so we've asked them for an amendment to their contract to be able to do that work for us. And they estimate it'll probably be over the next 2 years between design and construction. They'll do quarterly reporting and then a final report at the end of it for IDNR. And that work is estimated to take, I forgot how many hours, but $3,000 is the cost estimate on that over the next 2 years. So with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Alderman, any comments or questions? Okay, I guess I would need a motion. Alderman Kruckenberg.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend the City Council pass a resolution approving a First Amendment to the professional services agreement with Hitchcock Design Group for Cerny Park improvements, final design.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kruckenberg and a second by Alderman Davalos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Number 4, FY 2024 Sustainability Highlights. This is will be presented by the Asset Management Analyst, Cassandra Hernandez-Galvin.
Thank you. So the purpose of the sustainability highlights is to give an update of efforts the city has taken to help minimize carbon emissions, sustain the environment, and to protect natural resources. So a couple of those highlights are for FY '24 is at the Public Works Building, we installed high-efficiency garage doors. That makes it 25% more efficient than the doors that were originally put in when the building was constructed. Also for fiscal year '24, we planted 122 trees along Continental Drive between Route 59 and Johnson Elementary School. Another highlight that we have is for the Old Town redevelopment site. The city completed environmental sorry, environmental remediation of non-lust contaminants to meet the residential Illinois Environmental Protection Agency standards. And then a couple of the highlights that I wanted to give for the recycling is we have the battery recycling program that we have for the city. So the EAC started that in 2011, and for fiscal year '24, we actually had 830 pounds of batteries that were recycled. And then we also have a couple other recycling events that the PD does, which is the annual recycling event and shredding event. And for fiscal year '24, we had 5,900 pounds of, computers, modems, paper products, and office supplies that were recycled through that event. And then the police department also does prescription drug recycling. And this year, fiscal year '24, there was a total of 828 pounds of prescription medicine that were recycled. So that was actually more than double of what it was last year. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
Alderman, comments, questions? Alderman Davalos?
Thank you. So I just want to say thank you to you, Cassandra. Maybe you overheard me talking about this before, but this is going to be such a useful document in so many ways. I'm glad that it looks very professional. It's got Mayor Brummel's picture and names and very official. And as the liaison to the EAC, we are constantly talking to other communities about what they're doing and asking them what they're doing. And so when they come to us, it is, I think, going to be very nice and much easier to have a document with everything that we're doing, because we are doing, as a whole city, a lot more than most people know. And when I had to look up this information for Warrenville and Bloom, because they began to have environmental work that cities do be part of the application for their Warrenville and Bloom awards. So I remember the year I had to do this. It took forever to go to all kinds of departments and commissions and gather this information all together. I'm hoping it had some influence on them when they gave Warrenville this great award. It wasn't just for the environmental, it was for the other work that they do, but I think it helped us plan a poll in that we are doing a lot for a community our size. And it is hard to pull it all together. It's community development, it's public works, it's the police station, it's all kinds of stuff. So this is useful, and I'm hoping it'll be a working document, and we'll be able to update more information as it goes forward. There's this great table of contents that somebody can find what they're looking for very quickly without flipping through the whole document. So I just find this an incredibly useful thing, and it's such a timely document because this is such a big topic, important topic, that even developers, I think, look and find out what communities are doing. All kinds of people are trying to find out what we're doing on environmental issues. And in some cases, we're sort of on the forefront of a few things, like coal tar and a few other things that we're doing. So anyway, bottom line is, thank you very much. This is really needed, and I personally am going to use it, and I think others will too. So thanks for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Is this document available on the website already?
Not currently.
And will it be?
Yes.
Okay, just so that in case anybody heard us talking about it, they can go forward and look for that. Okay. Let's see, that was in information only. I see no other comments or questions. Thank you very much for that. Okay, number 5, consideration of IGA between the City of Warrenville and PACE. And once again, Asset Management Analyst Cassandra.
Thank you. So in April 2024, PACE amended and reinstated their IGA with all of DuPage County sponsors. And due to the lengthy legal review, the IGA couldn't be presented until now. So a couple of the updates with this is there's a $141 increase per month that the city will cover. And the reason for this increase is we have quite a few more riders. And then the city attorney reviewed and provided amendments. And then the second part of this is in February 2024, the PACE transitioned the pilot program, the Uber pilot program, to the rideshare access program. So with this change, it was the name change, and PACE will now be requiring a separate IGA for this program. Staff will provide an update once we have that, but we currently are in review with the other DuPage County sponsors on that. So with that, I will take any questions.
Alderman Lockett.
Not necessarily a question, just a comment. This is such a great program that a lot of people have obviously started to use. When you look at 5 years ago, there was 23 registered, now there's 101. But people have actually said to me that they're just so happy that this exists, which allows them to take some pretty inexpensive rides to doctor's appointments, different things. And they actually even allow you to bring somebody with you at no additional cost. So the fact that the city puts this in there and takes care of this is pretty amazing to a lot of people. And we could see that just by the numbers. I'm assuming that I think this took over for like the Acorn van. And I was looking back on some things and the cost of what the Acorn van was, and the cost of this, it's like a very, very easy decision. So I just wanted to just comment and say that it's just such a great thing that the city offers this to the residents. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, a motion, please. Alderman Lockett.
I'd like to make a motion, City Council pass a resolution approving an amended and restated intergovernmental agreement between the City of Warrenville and the Suburban Bus Division of the Regional Transportation Authority, PACE, for the provision of paratransit services.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Wilkie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 6, consideration of IGA with the Park District for parking lot resurfacing. Superintendent Clark.
Thank you. In the spring of 2024, Park District staff and I had a conversation about the resurfacing of the rec center parking lot. By the end of the conversation, we decided that the most efficient way to bid their project would be to add it into our 2024 road program. Those prices came back acceptable to Park District staff. With that being said, we had the city attorney draft an IGA very similar to the IGA that we have with the fire district for their apron and in 2020 for their parking lot. Park District staff presented that to their board at their last board meeting and approved it. With that, I'll take any questions.
Alderman, comments, questions? Mayor Brummel?
Just another example of how the taxing districts in Warrenville cooperate and support each other. Having involvement with a lot of other communities and hearing conversations about what goes on in those communities, this is not the norm necessarily. We don't have that kind of cooperation, so I very much appreciate the fact that we have those relationships and they benefit our citizens because obviously all the taxing districts serve the same citizens. We are aware of that and we make that part of how we operate, so good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a motion, please. Alderman Kruckenberg.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend the City Council pass a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Warrenville and the Warrenville Park District for improvements to Warrenville Park District property as part of the 2024 road program.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kruckenberg and a second by Alderman Davalos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. 7, consideration of enterprise fleet lease contracts. This would be Director Kugler.
Thank you. Based on a staff recommendation earlier this year in January, City Council directed staff and the city attorney to work with Enterprise Fleet Management to negotiate a lease agreement for the lease of 36 of the city's vehicles. There are several agreements and amendments attached to are included with the agenda backup materials. Enterprise has set agreements that they won't modify, so there's anything we wanted to modify, the city attorney had to develop an amendment to that agreement. So didn't quite double the number of agreements we have to approve, but it did come close. Staff is going to be placing agreements for, or lease schedules and agreements for the individual vehicles that will be replaced on upcoming city council consent agendas. It'll be similar to when we purchased vehicles on like a purchasing cooperative or through the state contract. Since we already have a basic contract for the lease program, we're just going to place these as they come on the consent agendas. Capital Maintenance Superintendent Clark is working with Enterprise currently to finalize the lease agreements for the first 10 vehicles that are in the program. It's going to take a little bit of time yet, so I would not expect those to be on an agenda until at least September. And as committed earlier this year, staff is going to be coming back annually to City Council to report on the effectiveness of the program. And that won't just be costs, it'll also be how it is to deal with Enterprise, how responsive they are. There's a lot of different touch points with them as we work through this program. Based on the vehicles that I'm seeing and the expected delivery dates, there probably won't be an update this fall, because I'm not sure we'll actually have any vehicles in place by the time we would provide an update. But I think the fall would be a good time each year as we head into the budget season to review this and report back to council as to how we're doing. So with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Alderman Lockett?
So included in the lease, I believe we talked about this a little bit, was the maintenance, correct? Where we would schedule it, we would drop it off, the maintenance would be performed at one of their approved shops, right? And then, but that's included in the lease, correct? The city is not paying for any of that maintenance?
We're paying for it through Enterprise.
Through Enterprise, but at a lower rate?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other question I had was, if a vehicle is ever in an accident and totaled, right, like with like the gap insurance that most people have to deal with, if we owe 80 and they only give us 60, does that happen in this or no? And the reason I ask is because I've leased equipment and stuff before, I had it stolen or broken, and then the insurance company gives you less than what you owe, and then you have to facilitate that extra in between. So I just didn't know if it was different because it was governmental, or if it's different with them.
We'll have to look into that, and we'll add something to the agenda summary for next week's meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, we would need a motion. Alderman Lockett.
I'd like to make a motion, recommend the city council pass a resolution approving agreements for the Enterprise Fleet Management Program, including fleet management services and the lease and maintenance of fleet vehicles.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Lockett and a second by Alderman Wilkie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Number 8, review and file Public Works Department FY 2025 Work Program and Decision Package Status Report. This is information only, but if anyone has any questions, now's the time. I see no questions or comments. Okay. We have nothing under miscellaneous, and all we need is another motion to Alderman Krokenberg.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
I have to tell you really quick, I did call Phil, like 2 weeks, maybe 3, right after we talked about